rotten flesh. The foul smell hit me immediately as I entered Dr. Leon Kahn's waiting room. Next to me, a man was waiting to have his leg amputated. The lady in the back was already on her second amputation.
And me, I was about to find out that the minor burn from my left leg
had turned into dangerous gangrene that was about to leave me disabled for life. Why did this happen? And what did all of us in that sinister waiting room have in common? The answer is simple: type 2 diabetes. These are the consequences of this ruthless disease: deadly infections, coma, mental illness, or blindness. So then I wondered, why did we, diabetics, deserve this terrible fate? And is it possible to save ourselves? Or will we all end up butchered by cold metal instruments?
In that moment of my life, I felt it was my destiny to seek answers to these questions as I embarked on a journey
during which I learned harsh truths about how the big pharmaceutical companies take advantage of our suffering to line their fat pockets, while being fully aware that they're not treating the cause of the problem, but the effects of this disease. Then I found out that in the UK alone, there are 185 amputations and 700 premature deaths every week. In fact, according to the National Heart Association, 1 in 5 sufferers need an arm or leg amputated. The same statistic shows that by 2060, there will be more than 60 million diabetic Americans. It's scary to calculate the resulting cases of blindness, coma, or premature deaths.
But at the same time, at the end of this journey, I found out that there is a solution.
A real solution to break free from the shackles of diabetes.
I learned that we can choose to live the life we always dreamed of, and not the nightmare Big Pharma pushed us into.
I found that type 2 diabetes is reversible. That's right, reversible. Comprehensive research from the most prestigious UK university has demonstrated that our bodies have an immense capacity for regeneration. Our bodies actually want to rejuvenate and restore. All we need to do is to stop putting band-aids on the symptoms and to treat the real cause of diabetes.
And each and every one of us can do this today from home,
before having a stroke, a coma, or an amputation.
In this video, I will show you
how I cured my diabetes and saved my life. And I promise you, if I could do that, you can too. All thanks to a rogue genius diabetes researcher, Dr. Roy Taylor, who solved a decades-old medical mystery: why people naturally reverse their type 2 diabetes in hospitals all over the world. That's right, nobody knew why until Dr. Taylor found the answer and changed the way we treat diabetes forever. This new solution, the holy grail of diabetes treatments, works by jump-starting your pancreas, the part of your body that keeps your blood sugar levels healthy, through the regeneration of beta cells, the cells that make insulin. Your pancreatic cells are begging you to help them regenerate right now.
And with this simple, extremely efficient, and quick technique that I'm about to show you, you'll be able to
reverse your type 2 diabetes, eliminating your need for medication, surgeries, or injections. But I'll warn you, the trillion-dollar pharmaceutical industry is making a fortune with their insanely priced insulin shots and oral medications, which come packed with painful side effects and only help manage the symptoms of your diabetes, leaving you on diabetes life support until you die.
Now, don't worry.
Once you discover how to restore your beta cells, which I'll show you in just a few minutes, you'll be free from annoying insulin shots and painful finger pricks. You'll say goodbye to medicine that makes you fat and nauseous. You'll stop worrying about early death, amputations, and risky surgeries. Your painful tingling neuropathy in your feet, hands, and everywhere else in your body will fade away. You'll remove the stress of wondering when your vision will fail, leaving you blind for the rest of your life. You'll break free from the anxiety of constantly monitoring your blood sugar, watching jealously as other people eat your favorite foods, and you'll never again feel like a burden on your family and friends. David Resea, 59, did it in 11 days after his doctor told him, "You've got diabetes, you have to deal with it," assuring him there is no cure. Steve Vincent, 58, from Southampton, England, who had diabetes for more than 15 years and who was almost blind, is now laughing because he's diabetes-free, and most importantly, he's seeing perfectly again. The effect is spectacular. It's one of the most impactful things I've done. All my blood test levels are within the normal range. I have more energy, and I can see clearly again. Gabrielle Garcia, 53, was at death's door when she tried it. At 232 pounds, she'd already suffered a heart attack. After seeing this breakthrough research, she freed herself in less than 2 months of her type 2 diabetes, and 18 months later, she's still a free woman and weighs 63 pounds less. The same method cured another 77,512 diabetics. They escaped not only from the burden of medication, poor health, and blood sugar fluctuations, but also got rid of flabby pounds of fat that only kept them captive to the disease.
So rest assured that this clinically tested and proven routine will work for you too.
Whether you're a man or woman, 30, 50, or even 85 years old, whether you've been with diabetes for just a few days or your whole life, and whether you've tried everything before, it's time to walk away and make this silent and deadly disease a thing of the past.
Look, if you're skeptical about trying something new, or if you think you've already tried everything, I completely understand. And if you're tired and frustrated at everyone and everything, you're not alone. I was stuck in the same rut just months ago.
But when the doctor told me that I had gangrene in my leg and needed to cut a part of it, I was ready to try anything, and I'm happy I did, because this saved my life. And now I'm finally free of the burden of diabetes, infections, and obesity. This newfound freedom is something that I never thought I could live again. The freedom to eat my favorite foods, the privilege and the energy to play with my grandson every day for hours, the freedom to be healthy again. You deserve this freedom too. Stay with me and you'll stop your diabetes today.
Hi, my name is David Andrews, and I feel a responsibility for passing on the knowledge I learned over the past 5 years. I'm sure that it will save you from a lot of torment and suffering.
I'm the owner of a small but charming restaurant in Norman, Oklahoma. I'm married to my caring wife, Laura, and we have a lovely daughter, Rose, who recently gave birth to a baby boy, Brady. My wife and I love gourmet foods. That's why I opened this restaurant more than 20 years ago. I also have a great passion for cooking. My favorite foods include meatloaf, barbecue ribs, and apple pie.
And in terms of our good health, my wife and I took it for granted because we always felt fine. Until one day.
5 years ago, on my birthday, I started noticing some rather unusual symptoms. I'd suddenly experience uncontrollable cravings for chocolate and other desserts. Then I started feeling tired, sometimes very tired and dizzy, and this didn't allow me to work at the restaurant in the evenings. I was also eating all the time and started gaining weight. At first, I thought it was a flu or just a weakened immune system, but a visit to my doctor revealed something unexpected. The diagnosis was type 2 diabetes.
This was a big shock for me.
I was very upset because the doctor told me that diabetes requires dieting, but cooking and eating were my two biggest passions.
After all, who doesn't like to eat well?
From the day I discovered my diabetes, my doctor, Francis Moore, put me on metformin, and of course I went for monthly checkups. I thought the medication would help me feel better, but everything got worse, and for the next 4 years my blood sugar levels climbed higher and higher and failed to stabilize. I started having tingling in my legs, and the cravings for sweets never disappeared. I also packed on more than 47 pounds of fat around my belly and back, and aside from feeling heavy all the time, my whole body was aching. That was the moment when the doctor decided to give me insulin shots.
I accepted his decision, but the results didn't change.
As time went on, my immunity continued dropping, and my body became extremely fragile and sensitive. And as if this weren't enough, 2.5 years ago, my restaurant caught fire right as we were about to close for the day. The fire started in the kitchen from the electrical outlet, and fortunately I managed to put it out pretty quickly, but ended up with a burn on my left leg. At first, nothing seemed wrong. The paramedics arrived at the scene, gave me a special spray for burns and instructions on how to treat the area. It is true that under the stress, I forgot to tell them I had diabetes.
And due to my body's inability to heal, my burn came to look like this picture in just a few months.
I can't say exactly what affected me the most, the insulin shots, the infection, or the excessive sweating, but I was feeling worse than ever. I often had fever and sometimes dizziness or diarrhea. I couldn't work anymore. My wife asked me multiple times to go to the doctor, and in the end, that's what I did. So on December 20th, right before Christmas, I was scheduled to see Dr. Leon Kahn, specialist in reconstructive microsurgery for patients with diabetes. When I entered the hospital lobby, a strong odor struck me, the smell of rotten flesh. A man was waiting to have a leg amputated, and a lady was already on her second amputation. I was shocked. I'd never seen so much suffering, infection, and pus in my life.
I was expecting a routine checkup and maybe a more effective burn spray, but the doctor told me.
When you have diabetes, even a minor burn can be fatal, because this disease does not allow the tissues to heal. On the contrary, it gets worse with each passing day, leading to amputation, even death. What you have right now is called gangrene. It's no longer just a burn, and the infection will continue to spread throughout the body. The safest solution would be to cut and clean the entire affected area.
What?
I was dumbfounded. The scene became a blur as I lost my grip on reality. Everything that was happening there seemed unreal to me. Then the doctor continued, the longer we wait, the more it spreads, and then we'll have to cut more.
No, this is impossible.
I told the doctor I needed time before making a decision and went out into the hall. I felt like throwing up. and at the same time I felt like I was suffocating. I called a taxi and left the car in front of the hospital because I was no longer able to drive.
The next few days, I fell into a deep, dark hole of depression.
This was followed by nights when I woke up screaming. I had nightmares about the doctor chopping off my leg. Once I woke up in cold sweats dreaming I had a heart attack. I was also terrified that diabetes could bring me Alzheimer's. I'd read on the internet that some doctors refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes.
After all these terrible thoughts and feelings, I started to suspect something was extremely wrong with this picture. It was horrifying.
The truth was that my diabetes had gotten much worse in an extremely short period of time.
It was obvious that I couldn't go on like this.
I fell to my knees and started to cry. I hadn't cried in years. I also prayed. I asked God for forgiveness because I didn't pay attention to the early signs of diabetes. Then I asked God to help me find a way out of this nightmare and let me live.
And then, I sat down and thought about my options, realizing I only had two.
First, I could continue taking the meds recommended by my doctors with all those nasty side effects for the rest of my life, putting my life in the hands of this broken system who treated me like I was already dead and wanted to amputate my leg. Or I could choose the second option and fight for my life, seeking out the true cause of diabetes and eliminating it from my body forever.
The voice inside told me that this was my only choice, and from that day, I knew this was my new mission in life.
I felt a renewed ambition and determination burning inside of me. For the next 2 months, I spent all my time researching for information about diabetes, anything that could help me. I signed up to medical sites. I called up universities to find details about the studies they published. I read endless reports of clinical trials, but found nothing new. The conclusions were always the same. Take your medication and get used to the idea that you will be a diabetic for life. Well, I didn't want to be a diabetic anymore. I already knew that according to the National Heart Association, 1 in 5 sufferers needs an arm or leg amputated, like in my case, and that in the UK alone, 185 amputations and 700 premature deaths occur weekly, not to mention the risk of having a stroke or losing your sight.
Then I found something else that shocked me: the nasty corruption in the pharma industry.
Big pharma companies spend on average $2.3 billion a year paying doctors to promote and push their meds. The New York Times revealed that these doctors write 50% more prescriptions, which cost on average $60 more. And the bad news didn't stop there. In 2018, the Diabetes Caucus published a study that showed how the price of insulin had increased more than 8 times in the last 20 years. I was disgusted, especially because the number of people with diabetes has doubled from 1980. The next thing I did was to read the leaflets for all sorts of diabetes drugs.
And I realized that all these treatments had one big problem.
They do not act on the root cause of the disease, and they don't even pretend to do it. They only manage the symptoms. This will never allow you to cure your diabetes. That's why every pharma salesperson will tell you, once you get diabetes, you have it for life. And this explains why the number of diabetics has doubled and will continue to grow rapidly in the next few years. Even worse are the frightening side effects of the medication, which every diabetic ends up experiencing, like weight gain, unstoppable cravings, interrupted sleep, cold sweats, bloating, dizziness, kidney, and liver damage.
Please, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but we all know these symptoms make your life worse, not better.
And while this was a slap in the face and a wake-up call to reality, my research also gave me the glint of hope I needed so much.
Take a look at this article.
I found it after hours and hours of searching. Yes, diabetes is reversible. At first, it was hard for me to believe what I was reading, but this medical experiment proved that our bodies have an immense capacity for regeneration. Our organs want to rejuvenate and renew themselves, and under certain conditions, they will.
It's what the body was programmed to do.
This research was conducted by a rogue diabetes scientist, Dr. Roy Taylor. He's a brilliant professor of medicine and metabolism at Newcastle University, one of the most respected universities in the world, right up there with Harvard and Oxford. Other universities look to Newcastle as a pioneer in health research. Its professors and alumni have received numerous awards and medals for their achievements in science and medicine. More importantly, they've saved millions of lives by curing and preventing diseases. And Dr. Taylor fits right in. His research has been published in dozens of medical journals, changing the way we see diabetes. Yale University even tried to hire him, but he felt loyal to Newcastle.
A few years ago, Dr. Taylor faced his biggest challenge yet.
A medical mystery that has gone unsolved since 1954. Why did diabetes disappear overnight in type 2 diabetics who had gastric bypass surgery?
This is happening all over the world, and it's been happening for decades.
Gastric bypass surgery is a surgery of the stomach, and it doesn't have anything to do with blood sugar or diabetes. And yet, almost every single patient had their blood sugar and insulin levels return to normal, reversing their type 2 diabetes and reducing, even eliminating their need for medication.
For years, no one knew why.
Something was reversing their type 2 diabetes, and Dr. Taylor set out to figure out what. Now, we already know that type 2 diabetics have fat deposits around their pancreas, but researchers thought these were an effect of the disease.
Here's what Dr. Taylor discovered.
Fat deposits around the pancreas are the primary cause of the disease. You see, insulin, the hormone that helps your body absorb blood sugar, is produced by the beta cells in your pancreas. That means your pancreas is responsible for keeping your blood glucose levels normal. It's a precise job. Not enough insulin and your blood sugar will skyrocket. When fat deposits form around the pancreas, it throws everything out of whack. That fat squeezes and invades the pancreas, preventing it from producing enough insulin and increasing your body's insulin resistance. Looking under a microscope, when fat invades the pancreas, we can see how insulin-secreting beta cells become overloaded and have to work extra hard to increase insulin production. The overuse is causing them to burn out and die, just like a person burning out from being overworked. And if beta cells die, there's no other mechanism left to produce insulin, which means there is less insulin in your bloodstream, making it hard for your body to absorb blood sugar. That's why the fat deposits around your pancreas keep your blood glucose levels dangerously high, making you develop type 2 diabetes. And Dr. Taylor realized that for the gastric bypass patients, type 2 diabetes disappeared once the fat deposits around their pancreas disappeared. This allowed their beta cells to regenerate and resume their normal function, which makes it clear that even beta cells we thought were dead can still be reactivated. They're like sleeper agents waiting for the command to rise up and get back to their mission.
But the mystery continued.
Because, as you may have guessed, gastric bypass surgery doesn't go after these fat deposits. So what was melting off the fat around the pancreas? Finally, Dr. Taylor found the answer, and it was hiding in plain sight. Everyone that goes through gastric bypass surgery is given a temporary meal plan to follow. This meal plan has the essential antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals to attack and destroy the fat deposits around the pancreas. Getting rid of them quickly is like giving a jump start to your pancreas, or better said, to the beta cells in your pancreas. With the fat deposits gone, the pancreas is kicked back into gear, regulating blood glucose by producing the right amount of insulin and lowering insulin resistance. Dr. Taylor was thrilled. He had discovered the real cause of type 2 diabetes, and he discovered the solution hiding right under our nose for decades. But there was still one problem. When Dr. Taylor gave his meal plan to people with type 2 diabetes from all walks of life, men, women, young, old, the newly diagnosed, and the people who'd had the disease for decades, virtually every participant saw the fat deposits around their pancreas disappear, their blood sugar normalized, and their type 2 diabetes reversed. These results were peer-reviewed in the medical journal Diabetologia, which means other researchers tested them for accuracy with the utmost scrutiny. But for more than half of the participants, the fat deposits and their disease came back in less than 6 months.
So I wondered,
what did the other half of diabetes-free patients do differently?
And why does no one continue these studies?
So that we, diabetics, can benefit from a treatment that directly attacks the real cause of diabetes, the fat around the pancreas.
I was both excited and furious.
Excited because now I had hope for the future. I learned the truth about the cause of diabetes, and I knew for sure that there were people who were cured. And furious because Dr. Taylor published his study several years ago. Why wasn't this the first thing my doctor told me when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes? What he should have said was, "You have this disease, now let's get rid of it." Instead, what he actually said was, "You have this disease, let's put a band-aid on the symptoms."
Then, I remembered what I read about how Big Pharma pays doctors to prescribe their meds.
Last year, in the U.S. alone, pharmaceutical companies paid $3.75 billion in penalties for fraud, more than the previous 8 years combined. The problem is only getting worse, so it's no wonder the word about this natural treatment hasn't gotten out. That's when I realized that if I wanted to reverse my diabetes, I was on my own. The next thing I did was to find everything about Dr. Roy Taylor, his Facebook, Instagram, Google, and Twitter profiles. I was looking for people from Dr. Taylor's entourage who had recovered from diabetes, 50% that stayed diabetes-free after 6 months.
And while looking through pictures, contacts, and friends, I suddenly saw a familiar face.
He was a client at my restaurant. You see, a lot of doctors, lawyers, and politicians come to my restaurant for our delicious barbecue ribs, and when I'm there, I like to take care of them personally. I talked to a lot of my clients. Some even became close friends. This is how I got to know Tibetan doctor Kamala Brahma, a great lover of people who came to America with the desire to unlock the remedies of nature and show people that for every disease, God has also left a treatment.
Which is pretty much the same thing Dr. Taylor proved through his discovery.
Now, it was obvious the two of them worked together. They both wanted to cure diabetes, and they both used the powers of nature as a remedy. But I didn't know if he had diabetes or not, if he was cured or not. I only had a hunch that he could help me.
Yet, I didn't have his phone number. I didn't know where he was or when he would come back to the restaurant.
Then I realized that the doctor had made reservations several times before, so I had one of the guys look him up in our database, and bingo, there it was. I called him in the early hours of the morning. I introduced myself and begged him to meet us for lunch because I needed his help. He gladly accepted, not that very day, but the next, because he had patients to consult.
I was stoked to see him.
We sat down at the table and I told him about my diabetes, how I did everything right and it was still getting worse, how close I was to the amputation of my left leg, and how Big Pharma was trying to keep us prisoners to diabetes forever. I showed him Dr. Roy's findings, how diabetes was reversible, how we can jumpstart our pancreas and regenerate our beta cells, and how 100% of those who followed his treatment were cured, but only for a short period of time. Because for more than half of the participants, the disease came back in months. And then I confessed how I found him in one of Dr. Taylor's pictures, and that gave me hope. Hope that he can help me find the treatment that keeps people diabetes-free for life.
Dr. Kamala Brahma listened to everything said and then started to tell me his personal story.
His mother developed type 2 diabetes at 22 years old, so he was born predisposed to diabetes. At the age of 42, he was confirmed diabetic. His mother's illness was one of the reasons why he became a doctor. As a child, he wanted to cure her, but unfortunately he could not because his mother died in a diabetic coma. He met Dr. Taylor after an international medical conference and offered to be one of the participants in the study. And indeed, he was among those who conquered diabetes for good. In fact, the doctor confessed to me that there were only 4 people who are still free of diabetes from his group, himself and the 3 colleagues who shared the same room during the experiment.
Why did this happen? I immediately asked.
Because in addition to Dr. Taylor's meal plan, they drank a special herbal tea every morning, a formula prepared by Dr. Kamala Brahma from a 100-year-old Tibetan tradition that has a role in maintaining young metabolism, providing immunity, energy, and the ability to focus. This tea was a key component to not only removing visceral fat, but also restarting their metabolism. Taken for 180 days, this tweak led to the final destruction of diabetes, speeding up their metabolism aged by years of disease and regaining their energy and zest for life.
Then, he showed me pictures with the 3 other colleagues. One of them was my age, and the other 2 were 56 and 68 years old.
It all made sense, and I trusted the doctor. After all, he had ordered apple pie with vanilla ice cream for dessert. So I realized erratic blood sugar spikes were not a problem for him anymore. But why didn't I have access to the same treatment to get rid of my miserable diabetes once and for all? And Dr. Kamala replied, because we have all signed a confidentiality agreement with the sponsors of Newcastle University. Sponsors who, of course, are big pharma companies who want to bury their competition and make sure no cure will ever see the light of day. I had read about Big Pharma, and I knew they paid doctors to prescribe their medicines. But were they also paying for studies and non-disclosure agreements with universities? We just can't stop here, doctor. I'm going to lose my leg if I don't change something now. And there's millions of diabetics around the world in even worse situations. Please help me. Think of your mother.
Now, I don't know exactly if it was my emotion,
his mother's memory, or the fact that most people don't have a solution to cure their diabetes. But in the end, Dr. Kamala Brahma agreed to help me. He told me that he'd need at least a month to gather the plants, to prepare the mix, and to make sure it was all correct.
I immediately agreed and waited. And waited.
After 30 days, I still had no answer. I was angry I couldn't even ask what the needed ingredients were. I kept thinking about my worsening leg and my wife insisting on me going to the doctor again for the amputation. But still, I had faith. Another 18 days passed by and nothing. I could already see my leg amputated. My wife pressed me not to wait any longer. And then, after exactly 1 month and 3 weeks, at 10 p.m., I received a message. Great news. I'll see you at the restaurant tomorrow at 12 p.m.
I was so happy. You can't imagine.
I couldn't sleep that night and went to the restaurant at 7 in the morning to wait for the doctor. At 12 p.m. sharp, Dr. Kamala came in with the mix. It was a liquid solution from which I had to put 2 droppers under my tongue every morning. And although I understood exactly what this mix was supposed to do, clean my visceral fat, regenerate my beta cells, and rejuvenate my metabolism, I felt compelled to ask him what it contained.
So, he explained to me.
As you already know from Dr. Roy's medical discoveries and experiments, the first stage is to destroy fat around the pancreas to allow the regeneration of beta cells. So I've included powerful antioxidants like grapeseed extract, guarana, and green tea. Antioxidants are important because they neutralize potentially harmful molecules called free radicals. These plants, fortified with a few vitamins and minerals, are so powerful that they have the capacity to target and flush out the dangerous fat clogging your pancreas. What's more, test tube studies have found that guarana and green tea may suppress genes that aid fat cell production and promote genes that slow it down. Then, African mango, Panax ginseng, and a specific quantity of L-carnitine melt the glue-like white fat deposits by infiltrating and softening the dangerous fat cells around your pancreas. Capsicum and chromium act as a dynamic catalyst that melts away both big and tiny clusters of toxic white fat, unclogging all your vital organs, heart, liver, and colon. Studies show that eating 5 grams of capsicum daily is associated with a decrease in plasma glucose levels and the maintenance of insulin levels. So after we've eliminated all the fat around the pancreas, the next step is to keep it clean for life, and I added special plants to boost the metabolism. The most important one is maca. Maca in the right amount and potentiated by minerals is able to balance hormones in both men and women, increases energy levels, and stimulates the health of your body. In combination with guarana, it may boost your metabolism by 30 to 41% over 12 hours. This cycle is repeated daily. This way, in just a few days, you'll be a different person and your metabolism won't slow down anymore. Then the doctor told me about how difficult it was to make sure that our recipe only included top quality ingredients. He searched the whole world through his scientific connections and only worked with certified producers and verified suppliers.
It was exhausting. He worked day and night, testing until dawn, making sure that he had the right quantities and the most effective combination of ingredients.
He also told me how he surrounded himself with a wonderful team of diabetes and obesity researchers in the country and recruited a team of the most brilliant scientists in the world, who all had different opinions about what influences diabetes. Some believe that calories consumed, others dietary fats, while others refined cereals and starch. Yet all these multidisciplinary, skeptical, and talented researchers agree on 3 things. 1, that it is absolutely necessary to eliminate fat around the pancreas in order to restore beta cells and the normal production of insulin. 2, to keep disease at bay and to start or continue a weight loss process, it's absolutely necessary to seriously boost your metabolism that's been slowed down by diabetes all this time. 3, the treatment discovered by Roy Taylor, together with the adjustments made by Dr. Kamala Brahma to boost the metabolism, is the right treatment and the only one that can eliminate diabetes from the body forever. Another important aspect that Dr. Kamala Brahma shared with me was that the liquid form of the treatment is the most efficient one because it allows for the ingredients to be directly absorbed and not destroyed in the process of digestion.
That being said, the doctor handed me the substance,
telling me to put 2 droppers under my tongue in the morning and prepare myself for a new life. In my mind, I thought that if this liquid was the most effective treatment for type 2 diabetes, it would be a miracle. Of course, I started the treatment the very next morning.
The first 3 days, I didn't feel much, but I was patient.
After 2 more days, something changed. I started feeling less anxious and more relaxed. After a week, I could see clearly that I was sleeping better and my energy was increasing, but I noticed no change in my blood sugar levels. Then I started worrying that maybe I was a little foolish to think it would really reverse my diabetes, and I'd probably still have to schedule my amputation. Another 4 days later, something incredible happened. I checked my morning blood sugar, and to my surprise, it had dropped a whopping 70 points, down to 290.
To be honest, I initially thought it was a mistake.
But with each passing day, my readings dropped dramatically. A few weeks later, I was down to 210, then 160, 130, until I finally stabilized at 103. And this was not all. Even though I found it hard to believe, the fat on my belly and back was melting by the day, just as my blood sugar was dropping. The truth is that I started looking younger, much younger. The impossible cravings and snacking were gone, and my strength was restored. And most importantly, the foot infection had begun to recede. In 6 months, I'd lost a total of 47 pounds with my blood sugar stable at about 94 and with 0 signs of infection. My doctor was shocked. He called me a case of miraculous healing and had me repeat my tests twice. Both times, my health markers were all within normal ranges.
For the first time in 5 years, I felt a new surge of energy and freedom.
This meant I could live my life again, eat at my restaurant with my wife, spend more time with our friends, and of course get to watch my amazing grandson Brady grow up. We had the time of our lives. You can't imagine how wonderful it is to have this new freedom. I was feeling so energetic, so confident, and most of all, I was happy again. My mission was now clear. I had to share this amazing discovery with the world and help all those struggling with type 2 diabetes reverse this dreadful disease.
So, I spoke to Dr. Kamala to test it on more people.
But before that, we decided that our treatment had to fulfill 3 basic conditions. First, it had to work for everybody struggling with type 2 diabetes, from those who had this terrible disease for many years to the newly diagnosed and pre-diabetics. Second, it had to deliver results in less than 180 days, because I know people don't have much time and cannot wait a long time to see results. And I know that 180 days is plenty of time to give yourself permanent results. Third, it had to be backed up by multiple independent studies. We kept these key elements in mind to prove even to the most skeptical of diabetics, who all said it was impossible, that our treatment really worked and at the same time was proven by science. Thanks to Dr. Kamala's contacts, we were able to find 160 volunteers, men and women, 20 years old up to 82 years old, from different walks of life. Some were pre-diabetics, others newly diabetics, and some were people who'd suffered for 40 years with the disease. All agreed to try our treatment for 180 days, and that's because we personally delivered it to their home. They each received a form so they could track their progress weekly. I was prepared to wait for at least a couple of weeks for the initial reports to come back.
But what happened next was amazing.
After 6 or 7 days, I was getting calls from everyone in the study, claiming their glucose readings were better and they also started losing weight.
They couldn't believe it.
So I encouraged them to stick with their pills and continue tracking their progress. And when I went to collect the reports, the results were mind-blowing. 158 out of 160 had completely melted the toxic fat around their vital organs, cleaned up their pancreas, and restored their beta cells, turning their bodies into a fat-burning engine. Now their internal organs were clean, in perfect working condition, and most importantly, diabetes was removed from their bodies in just a few weeks. This method melted away an average of 21 pounds of excess body fat in 6 weeks. All the people, without exception, who reached the 6-month mark had considerably improved their health markers, lowering their blood pressure, improving cardiovascular health, and even enhancing their brain function. Now, you might probably ask what happened to the 2 people who didn't completely reverse their type 2. Well, their fasting blood sugar levels dropped to about 125, which means that their diabetes was now under control and considered low risk. This increased their life expectancy by an additional 10 years.
So, the experiment turned out to be a real success for everybody.
We were so excited, we couldn't wait to share this treatment with the entire world.
This was the birth of BeLive,
the only proven method that clears the fat around your pancreas, restoring your beta cells, and boosting your metabolism. In other words, the most powerful way of controlling blood sugar and reversing type 2 diabetes. I really believe in this formula. It reversed my type 2 diabetes and helped more than 72,000 people free themselves from high blood sugar, heart, and liver problems. An extremely effective formula you can start using right now to see results in just a few days.
People from all over the world confirmed this amazing achievement.
Like Yolanda H., 58, New York.
My diabetes caused my left arm to go numb many times throughout the day, and my blood sugar was 210 without eating anything. A little bit of cheese would spike it all the way up to 240. Ever since I've been on Believe, my blood sugar has not been higher than 125, even when I ate pasta or pizza. It's the only treatment that works for me. I highly recommend it.
And Robert P., 63, from California.
I've struggled with type 2 diabetes for 20 years. For the last 9 years, I was on 4 shots of insulin a day. My morning blood sugar was 270, and in the evening, 320. I often woke up in the night gasping for air. I started using Belive, and things got considerably better. My morning blood sugar reading is now 140, and in the evening, 160. For me, this is a miracle, especially since I'm no longer struggling to breathe at night. I will keep taking these drops.
Now, you're probably asking,
how can I get this amazing supplement? The truth is that getting all the right ingredients to make this powerful type 2 diabetes reversing formula is extremely hard. As Dr. Kamala said, 97% of the natural ingredients on the market are either fake or filled with pesticides. Also, the people who have tested our product and regained their lives keep asking us for more bottles for themselves, for their families and friends, just to stock up in case we won't be able to provide it anymore, and to make sure that they have the power to fight diabetes for the rest of their lives. Plus, there are an impressive number of people who don't have diabetes, but take this supplement to rejuvenate their entire body and improve the function of their pancreas, liver, and heart, eliminating fat from around their organs and emptying our stock in a matter of days. Moreover, Belive is carefully produced only in small batches that take up to 6 months to deliver.
The process is essential to ensure that the product is 100% effective.
And don't forget about the big pharma companies who are already hunting us down like mad for ruining their profits from innocent people who are desperate for a cure. But since you've educated yourself with this video today, in the next few minutes, you'll find out how to get your hands on a brand new bottle.
And before that, I want to explain to you how you should take Belive.
First, you should take 2 drops of Belive every morning on a daily basis for at least 30 days. There's no doubt that your blood sugar will start to stabilize in less than 3 weeks, and your markers will look good in less than a month. But it's essential for you to continue to eliminate all the fat from around your organs. This way, you'll significantly decrease your risk of pancreas failure, heart and liver problems, and you'll feel how your body is being supercharged and regenerated. Depending on your current condition, it could take at least 75 days to treat the deterioration caused by the toxic fat after so many years of neglect, which means 3 bottles of Belive. Or, and this is the most popular choice among the people who contact us, if you want the best chance of fighting against heart complications, liver disease, while treating type 2 diabetes, a 6-month supply of Belive is all you need. Nobody in the world can estimate exactly how much toxic fat is in your blood and organs at this point, or how quickly your beta cells will regenerate, because this depends on many factors, such as your medical history, how old your type 2 diabetes is, your overall state of health and lifestyle choices, and so on. So as a rule of thumb, after seeing the positive results of more than 72,000 people suffering from advanced type 2 diabetes, we recommend taking 6 bottles or more to be completely safe for a period of 180 days. This should be enough to completely eliminate the toxic fat from your pancreas, restoring your beta cells and removing your diabetes. Meanwhile, you'll also get a quicker metabolism to burn fat faster. It's now obvious why Belive is the only effective option to successfully treat type 2 diabetes.
Nothing else out there has been proven to work.
You could go to a doctor who will torture you, as it happened to me. You could try all the meds and treatments that will make you suffer all the negative side effects I've listed, and you'll come to the same conclusion. In the long run, nothing works. The disease will progress as you start feeling sicker, more depressed, exhausted, starved, and anxious. I also guarantee that the so-called alternative methods, such as meditation, acupuncture, or different shakes, which are actually all fake herbal extracts, are not strong enough to treat type 2 diabetes.
All of these are a waste of time, energy, and money, and you know it. They won't get you well in a million years.
Unlike Belive, which can get the job done in less than 3 weeks while keeping you safe from future heart, liver, and pancreas disorders. So you can understand why Kamala Brahma and I initially wanted to set the price of Belive at $380 a bottle. All the ingredients are natural, most of them quite rare and hard to procure. Plus, this special formula is designed to address the root cause of type 2 diabetes, which is a life-threatening disease, one that could eventually leave you blind, with an amputated leg, or even dead. And if you add in the costs of seeing a specialist in your area, the tests and the drugs will cost you tens of thousands every year.
At one point, I was paying $2,431 a month.
Given all of this, $380 a bottle should seem like an incredible offer. But as I already mentioned, Belive is not about making a profit. All we want is to help you and people like you get better. That's what my mission meant right from the start. I wish this miraculous product existed before I traumatized my family with my infection. But I can't change the past, and what matters now is that after receiving emails from people who can't afford Belive, I knew I had to find a way so that everyone could afford it, which is why there's no chance I could consider charging you anywhere near $400 for this. And because you're watching this presentation, if you act today through this website and take the life-changing decision of investing in this extraordinary diabetes-destroying weapon, my team and I have agreed to give you the only effective treatment that allowed us to finally hit the stop button on type 2 diabetes for only $69 a bottle.
But you know what? I'm going to make the deal even sweeter.
Because I know how hard it is to live in constant fear that you could slip into a coma or lose your eyesight or get Alzheimer's. I've set up a discounted package system of 6 bottles of Belive for you. That's only $49 a bottle, for a total of $294, which is being offered today only for as long as supplies last. And once we run out of bottles, the Buy Now buttons will not be active anymore until we make another batch again, which takes around 5 to 6 months at least. Click the 6-bottle package or any other package that you want below to secure your order.
Consider this the smallest, but most powerful investment you can ever make in yourself.
Yes, 1 bottle of Belive might stabilize your blood sugar and deal with problems like restless sleep, low energy, and food cravings. 3 bottles might be enough to rapidly restore your entire body, slashing extra pounds, improving blood flow, and helping rejuvenate your beta cells and brain cells to keep Alzheimer's away. But 6 bottles of Belive could make your body immune not only to diabetes, cravings, poor blood flow, but to all the problems brought on by the fat that's been accumulating around your organs, like your pancreas, liver, and heart. This way, you will eliminate all types of bodily inflammation, some of which you may not even have a clue about.
Click the order button below after choosing the best package for you.
And you'll end up on our secure checkout page. Enter your payment details, place the order, and in less than 7 days from now, you'll get Belive delivered straight to your home. Click the button now. It's the only way to secure your package while supplies last. You have absolutely nothing to risk because you're covered by my 60 days 100% healthy or money-back guarantee. Start taking this groundbreaking formula today and see for yourself how your blood sugar levels drop back to their normal range within days, how your tiredness and cravings gradually fade away, how you can finally feel healthy again and able to enjoy your favorite foods every time you want, just like 72,000 other satisfied customers found out for themselves.
And if you're not satisfied for any reason, never happened, but just in case, send me an email and I will buy it back from you. No questions asked.
Like I said, this is a 100% risk-free investment. So click one of the buttons below to get started on your journey of becoming diabetes-free. But please, know you really do have to act now. We're offering Belive for just $69 and even cheaper if you're getting our more popular bundle packages, just to put this amazing product into the hands of more people. You'll gain access to Belive, which will arrive at your doorstep in a matter of days.
Listen, when you think about it, you really only have 2 choices ahead of you right now, just like I did not long ago.
Option 1. Stop following this presentation and leave this page. Do nothing. Keep going the way you are now with those horrible cravings, the lethal blood sugar spikes, the burning inflammation in your body, with restrictive dieting, tiredness, restless sleep, risking a diabetic coma, blindness, amputation, or Alzheimer's, frustrated that nothing works, spending hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on useless therapies, struggling with your diabetes for years or even decades, losing your vision, your leg, or your mental clarity. It's not going to be pleasant. Or option 2, grab Belive right now while risking nothing at all, and you'll be surprised at how well it works. So click below to make your choice, enter your payment details, and place the order now.
It was a pleasure for me to share this amazing discovery with you today.